Hi, my friends. Welcome to this special edited edition of Maryland's Cafe Society radio show that aired Saturday, March 22nd. I had to do this special edit due to the fact that we lost audio from that show. It's been several weeks now, and I just needed to get something posted so we could keep the YouTube channel up to date with the audio snippets. So what I've done is typed out the questions that I asked the ladies or comments that I made in my conversation with the ladies who were being spotlighted on this particular show. And then you'll hear their voice in the video, okay? So again, it was Saturday, March 22nd, and the two guests who stopped by for Women's History Month Spotlight were two unsung modern sheroes from our communities, Tammy Thompson and Maureen Headington stopped by in that first hour. Tammy, of course, a modern woman who actively speaks out against and educates the masses on important environmental issues. She's a devoted wife and mother of two children. Tammy has been a force to be reckoned with since she and her family became personally affected by environmental toxic waste. She's a friend of the show, and she's actively involved in CARE. Maureen Headington is currently chair of the Public Policy and International Affairs Division of the American Association of University Women, the Hinsdale Oak Brook area branch. I welcome them both to the show, and what you're going to hear next is, of course, Tammy bringing us back up to speed with her latest health scare, which of course was caused by environmental toxins in the home that she lived in and later in an apartment that she and her family relocated to. Again, as this video continues to air, what you will see are comments or questions that I make, and then you'll hear the women's or the guests respond to the comments. And again, I apologize, part of the audio is just missing for this show. And the process of retrieving it from the archives is taking a bit too long. So this is what we have as of this day. And also we'll get second hour posted for you as well. All right. So enjoy. You won't see me talking anymore, but you will see the comments and questions that I pose to the women and hear their responses. All right.
Yes, unfortunately we moved where there were toxic air releases going off, so we finally left that community out in Shanahan area where it's really bad and there's no air monitors nearby to move to a safer place, and we purchased a condo. Little did we know that indoor air quality would impact our family to the degree that it has, making our family violently sick. What it is subfloor air ducts are breaking apart, blowing cement, dust, and debris all over the house. And the dust is very toxic. Silica dust is actually now being identified as a carcinogen, and they're trying to pass laws for employees. But with the subfloor air ducts, which was a bad concept to begin with, it is breaking apart and blowing the dust all over the home, and it also contains hexavalent chromium-6, which was made famous by the Aaron Brockovich movie. It's also a known carcinogen. And it's unfortunate that people buy places and they are totally oblivious to these types of toxins that can come into their home. And with subfloor air ducts, radon can also be a major player in penetrating your home and impacting your health. It could be very hazardous, and mold and other different elements can also build up inside the air ducts, thereby making your indoor air quality more toxic than you can imagine and sending your family into the emergency rooms and hospitals without knowing what exactly is causing the problems. Well, at first we were just getting sinus symptoms, and as we were getting increasingly sicker, we started noticing dust coming from our air vents, which also burns. It's like acid on the skin. It's so bad because cement, dust, and debris it's very caustic, and it can burn the skin, the nasal passages, and all of that. And our poor daughter, Faith, It just started getting violently sick. We were all getting migraines, headaches that you just wouldn't believe how bad it was. Our skin was burning, our throats, our noses. Her symptoms increased to the point that her spleen was enlarged. And at the end, it got so bad that she was vomiting mucus and blood. And we were going from doctor to doctor and hospital to hospital. They kept misdiagnosing us, starting out with something like mono, then Lyme disease. Then it went to thinking she had leukemia, then cystic fibrosis. In the meantime, we started gathering up this dust in our house that was seemingly to be a culprit here, and doctors kept saying there must be something in your home. Mold is another variable that can actually, what I did not know, can cause cancer and even death. And while there's not mold there now, there's black stuff that's bubbling up and oozing up, and we don't even know what that is. But it's the cement dust that's so bad. And it gets into your lungs and stays there the same way that asbestos would in your lungs. Well, there weren't signs of it in the beginning, and as far as a home inspection go, which my husband took classes, home inspectors don't exactly look underneath things or behind things. If there's an object in the way, they're not going to pick it up and move it. They're only going to see what they can visibly see. And at the time, there wasn't anything visually in the ducts that were showing any signs of any deterioration. The only thing that they do is stick a thermometer and make sure that HVAC is working, your AC and your heating system. We didn't notice anything. We had ripped out the carpet and replaced the floors, and my husband being a carpenter and me being a semi-quasi-clean fanatic, vacuuming the air ducts was something that we did right away. Little did we know the debris that was going to come out of it. It's like a rock quarry coming out of there. And then the dust is so fine, it's like smoke, and it gets on everything. It's floor to ceiling everywhere, and you don't even realize how bad it gets until it just gets so bad it's an explosion of dust everywhere. Well, she's doing much better, but unfortunately the doctors keep saying, the long-term repercussions of being exposed to these types of things can cause irreparable harm and lifelong damage. So we're concerned as to what to do and where to go to next. The most unfortunate part is that it's a condo. And in dealing with condos, what we've learned the hard way is you can't even hire a company to come in and assess the situation or figure out what's going on, much less how to remedy the issues. And our condo association has no intentions of doing anything that's accurate in trying to protect the owners or renters of our community. And it's unfortunate because what I'm running across is that this is similar circumstances in a lot of different areas here in Illinois. There's no laws to protect us. Yes, they are. We've had people in our building and people in other buildings that have been getting sick. We've known of some people that may have died from, being exposed to potentially radon and this dust and debris because it gets in the lungs. In addition to what we have going on, when you have subfloor air ducts, I found a terrific site, called Inspectopedia, which can help people decipher things with their home, similar to Wikipedia, but it's Inspectopedia, so you can type anything in the search engine. And it gave us so much more information than any of the companies that we were talking to and trying to get help with all of this. You can go broke trying to figure out all the tests and information. And people are afraid. Those that are owners are afraid to say anything because they're afraid that the buildings could be condemned or they'll be burdened with this. But in the meantime, they could potentially be getting deathly sick. And for the renters, they're oblivious to it. People are going along. They see this dust. In our case, ours is this yellow dust, and it's covering everything. And what do? They just move, and they turn around and just keep renting these places out. Condo owners and renters are targets for being, collateral damage for somebody else's profit. And you have no legal leg to stand on in getting help in any of these situations. I am, and to alert the public to know that subfloor air ducts is a very bad concept. Definitely go to the Inspectopedia.com sites. If you're having health issues and you're not sure what it is, it can definitely be directly related to subfloor air vent systems that are in the foundation in the concrete. Now, there's different methods. They always talk about vacuuming or dusting out your vents, and it's hard to find companies that are reputable to come in there and do that. But in this particular circumstance, I don't even know why they build structures like this anymore because it's so bad. I mean, the building should have a date and time stamp on it that it's going to expire because concrete and cement is subjected to the elements, and any of the elements will make it break down. so thereby causing these. Actually, it was built in the 80s, and that's what's so ironic is that we keep hearing of all these structures. Well, they were built poorly in the 60s. They were built poorly in the 70s. They were built poorly in the 80s. Where does the responsibility lie if people are spending $180,000 or more for a condo unit that you think is a community involvement thing, but yet then your condo HOA is not going to stand up and support you when you need them? Inspectopedia.com, just like inspect, INSPECTA, pedia, PEDIA.com. Any issues that you're having with your home or where you're living, you can type in the search engine, and these guys will definitely help you assess the situation. And, of course, YouTube can be an also invaluable resource. I was just going to say about radon. Everybody's home is susceptible to radon, and radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer in the United States. People that have never smoked or been involved in smoking in their lives can die from lung cancer being exposed to radon. And our kids and our pets are most susceptible to this. Anybody with compromised immune systems or the elderly, it's really important to test. It's very inexpensive. You can get a kit at Home Depot or any of the hardware stores anywhere. It costs like $40 to do the whole thing altogether. And mitigation is relatively inexpensive compared to the cost for medical bills and dealing with lung cancer. Well, ironically, coal ash is something that they pour into cement as a filler and a binder, too. So that's something else that we have in our house. But it's very important that people realize that this is a combination cocktail of so many different chemicals that can impact your homes and your lives, especially if you live near these facilities. People aren't aware how toxic and how bad it can be, but they also dump it in our water in addition to our air. So there's no preventing or protecting people from these things. It has things such as arsenic, lead, cadmium, and a whole chemical, cocktail of poisons. And people need to get involved and express their opinions on this. There are other alternatives that we have opposed to coal with solar and wind that don't poison our waterways and our homes and our children. It makes no sense. So I hope that everybody does get involved, and if they can't go to the hearing, they can go on the EPA websites and voice their opinions and their concerns and say, hey, I don't want this in my neighborhood. Why should we continue to pay high utility bills for something that's poisoning our families? I'm not sure what the specific information is. I don't have it with me right now, but I can send it to you so you can give people that information. And they can always go online also to register or to make their comments, formal comments in their opinions on what they feel about coal and coal ash. Yes, and I believe they're making a trip to Springfield in April, too, to talk to representatives to try to fight these issues, along with fracking and silica, the quartz dust that is involved in fracking and different things that can impact everybody, to bring these things to light, because we can't keep being so destructive to where we're living and not expect the impacts to come back to haunt us. If we don't have safe air and safe drinking water, we cease to exist.
And Marilyn, hi, thank you, and Marilyn's Cafe is always a highlight on a Saturday afternoon, so thank you for having me today. I have, for the last several years, been part of a think tank that deals with nuclear issues. It's a national think tank where people from as many as 30 or 40 states participate for a heavy-duty 1-hour conference call a month, updating one another and on what's going on in their state. And of interest to me was the fact that Illinois has more reactors than any other state, and we also have more nuclear waste to deal with than any other state. I learned on one of these calls that the Department of Energy, the U.S. Department of Energy, is planning and has posted it on the Federal Register to dump 14,000 tons of radioactive scrap metal into the consumer marketplace. They don't know what to do with the waste, and they feel that this would be one way to dispose of it. In looking into this, because it seemed rather shocking to hear this, it would actually be mixed in with all the clean metals from which any manufacturers draw material in order to make the zippers on our clothing, belt buckles, jewelry, the wristwatch you wear on your hand, metal eyeglass frames, toys, silverware, pet bowls, leashes. It's an endless list if you look at all the ways in which we come in contact with metal during the day. And the public is not aware of the fact that this is going to be happening. It has not happened yet, to the best of our knowledge, but the person, Diane Dirigo from the NERS organization in Washington, had asked if anyone nationwide wanted to help on this, and I volunteered, and I decided to do a petition. I did it through moveon.org and drafted the petition, and I currently have 88,675 signers as of today saying no to this plan. And people from 27 other countries. Last week, 2 people signed on from Sweden. So any way we can get word out on this, if I feel that if enough people sign the petition, if you sign it, an email or a fax goes directly to the Department of Energy. Well, the best alternative is, first of all, to stop making it. Stop making nuclear waste. A lot of this waste that they're intending for this comes from weapons sites. And, you have to think of all ends of a process, not just making it, but how will you get rid of it ultimately. The thinking by the Department of Energy is that it'll be very diluted, so it shouldn't, and that's in quotes, shouldn't hurt anyone. But the fact is they don't know an individual's immune system, or whether in fact the person is undergoing chemotherapy at the time or has a depressed immune system for another reason, or little people who are still growing, youngsters whose cells are still dividing because they're growing, and the potential impact on their genes. I do want to just share with you, 2 years ago during the summer, there were 2 major recalls. One was by Bed Bath & Beyond. It was all over the news and in newspapers. They were recalling radioactive Kleenex box dispensers, and almost around the same time, Petco recalled radioactive pet bowls. It turned out that these items had been fabricated in India. So right now there's a moratorium on doing this kind of thing here in the U.S., but this push by the Department of Energy would be to lift the moratorium and follow the practices of India in getting rid of waste by mixing it in with clean metal. Not acceptable. Not acceptable. Now, that is the link, and I did send you my flyer so somebody could pick it up off your website if you have the ability to post it. But there's an even faster way of doing it, and if you go to Google and just Google the title of this petition, "Will the zipper on your new pants be radioactive?" I come up on page 1 of Google. That would be wonderful. Yes, it takes you directly there, and all they ask is your name and what town you're from. And I'm asking that you share it with everybody and know, and we've got to stop this.